Partha Sekhar Chatterjee from Animals and Pets with Partha. You've been listening to me for nearly 2 years now, and we have over 200 odd episodes already. And I'm pleased to say that I have got a beautiful, excellent patronage from animal lovers all across the country, and many also from abroad listen to my episodes. Well, today I take you back to some history, because many of you may not be aware of our kennel clubs, when it existed and how it moved. I can go back and tell you the history that is 50 years back, because I was just a teenager at that time. And then, that's the time when I came into the dog world. And I've been passionately and very intimately involved in every aspect of the dog game. Well, I'm extremely fortunate that I've gone abroad at a very young age, and we started judging when the dog game in India was in an nascent stage, and there were a few dog shows around the country, and I've been the first judge to numerous dog shows across the country. It's all history now. A lot of the old people who were organizers at that time have passed away. It's unfortunate that our kennel club did not maintain these records. I was life patron, honorary patron of maybe 5 or 10 clubs, and I initiated being honorary founder, secretary and things like that of several clubs. Well, I do not want to mention all that, because all that history has been taken away or will never be exposed just for vested interest and just for vengeance against people who are successful. So I would not like to say I was successful, but at least I was so involved, and I tried to help the dog game at every stage. Well, I am also very indebted to a lot of my wonderful friends across the country and around the world who have often praised me. But it's my interest in the thing, my passion towards the sport, that I wanted to give the best. It's not money. It's not that I was ever evaluating my services in exchange of what money I was going to get. There was no money in those days. Only you got to spend your time. And time, valuable time. And in those days, there were no aircrafts from all these connections. So many a times you would have to jump onto a train and go. That's it. There were times when I filled out emergency slots for judges who were unable to make it. If I name, it will be numerous, but it may sound boring because most of these people are dead and gone. But then I would nevertheless like to tell you that if you go back in the early 70s, when I came into the sport, the dog game was vibrant, and people, we were just everybody's involvement was so intimate, and everybody contributed. That means every year the dog shows in Calcutta, you would hear the voice of Montuda. Montuda had a fantastic English accent, of course derived from the Britishers. He was an old man, but when he held that microphone in his hand and he spoke, if you couldn't see it was Montuda, you would think of some Britisher actually doing the announcement for you. Well, that was the culture. Then you had people like Ashok Mukherjee and Napi Mitter and Ojoy Bose. They were just, people who were, everything that they carried were British culture. Because the dog game was very British. It was gifted. The Britishers spread the dog game across the world. And so India got the benefit, because they were here. They were ruling India. And in that time, the laws and, the Rajas and the Maharajas, they were allowed to show, and only it was the high echelon of class of people were only allowed to participate with the Britishers. And then some of them made judges, some Rajas and Maharajas, Raja of Bhadri, and then famous names, of course. Then you had Maharaja Jagdish Singh of Paria, of course. he should have been remembered and a statue made of him, because it was only because of him that the dog game spread across the country. But then we made a lot of mistakes also. We started breaking the dog game. We thought we were too big. We didn't want people to criticize us. We didn't want people to point a finger at us. And we started disowning people. Of course, I was very much against all this, and I've served in the committee for 4 terms, which is a long time. But then, I was never really wanting to do it, because there's hardly that I could contribute in the sense, because nobody is heard. Then, the dog game, unfortunately, from the peaceful hills of Kannur was snatched away, and then it came in the hands of the syndicate. And the syndicate made it into a commercial endeavor, his own personal property, and he's been milking the dog world, and he's been sort of all the people, the dog game's a total mess now. I was just talking to some of the big people, and I said, what have you made the dog game? Who is going to judge here? Because everyone who judges, he has to please the exhibitors. Otherwise, they will not get the money to organize the show. You have put so many conditions. And you have the fees that is paid is, unbelievable. Even no judges, I think, across the world are paid so much of fees, unless they are of that stature. Maybe some American shows or whatever. But then they have to work hard. They have to be perfect. They have to be precise. They cannot be any Tom, Dick or Harry. Here everybody has, they take you. Then what happens? Then once the club puts in, condition that you got to put in this 5 dogs or 10 dogs up in certain position, because they are the sponsors. They're paying the money. Without that, we can't pay you. We can't pay for all the decor, all the booze and the liquor and all the entertainment. So then what happens? The judge says, well, they're making me cheat. Then on the side, the judge is contracted by so many other people. So the judge also has a lot of other contracts. Well, when I am going to cheat for the committee, why not I do a bit of cheating for my personal gain? So you see, a lot of these judges, they make a lot of money from one show. And I wouldn't say everybody. I am not saying that everybody takes money, but everybody is blamed for it. If 20 people take money and if 5 people do not take money, do you think they can be segregated? Well, even then, people know those 5 people will be called less. They will not get appointment. And when they are called, they draw good entries, because people think that they are going to actually judge on their own. They will have their own decision-making powers, not dictated by the committee. So this has been going on. And now our dog game has completely been broken up. So many clubs have been formed. Judges have been made only by virtue of money, and this is the result. Most of the judges, there are some fantastic judges who made a name for them, but then they are hardly called. And of course, there's so many shows in India. It's very difficult. You need a lot of good judges. And what they do is they just get anybody from around there. They have tied up with an organization which they say, the very unfortunate thing is the complaint that people are making is this international organization is promoting sort of a criminal who has completely ruined the name and reputation of this once very famous dog world that we had. I will tell you, in those early days when I was an organizer and I used to run shows, there was this Asia Kennel Union that we know of, and our big people were the JKC. They had the money. Mr. Karyabu, who actually built the JKC, and I've spoken to many judges, and they used to they speak little English, but they used to show they would say, Karyabu, make JKC big. So, that is what Karyabu was. They say JKC was, Karyabu, make it big. So, that is how he was referred to. And how did he prepare his judges? He would send his judges to offer them to the Asian countries that we will pay $500, $1,000 every year, and then we will give you free judges. You don't need to pay the air ticket, only accommodation, and not 5-star accommodation. We gave them fantastic accommodation, very good guest houses, and all that. And I did it for several years. Then of course we used to get only half of that 1,000. There were options. But then in those days we were the only clubs who always wanted, But then what happened? Anyway, those are gone. But then there's a lot of changes in the Asia section of the dog world. Whatever. I'm not complaining of the people who have taken. But what the dog world is suffering in India is because of the support this syndicate has got. What reputation has it built up? Means we are ashamed to even think of it. When he goes chasing girls, when he goes to dog shows, other women colleague judges, this is unthinkable. And then everywhere the reputation has been so ruined. In those days we had a vice chairman. Of course the chairman was from JKC. Now, but the vice chairman was always from India. We were really big. If our dog game could be brought together, we will always have the biggest dog shows in the country, in the Asia section, always. Our entries can really be 2,000 or more, So which is, I am saying dogs entries, not people who say 10 shows and 70 dogs into 10 shows is 700 entries, not like that. Because I have judged places where there are 14 shows in a weekend and there were 70 dogs. So 14 international judges or whatever. So you just multiply like that and you say this is our entry. No, I'm not talking of that sort of. I said 2,000 dogs. So anyway, all that is now, we are fragmented. The United Kennel Club is doing a massive work. And of course, the INKC is much ahead in its technology because they have made things digital and they make things transparent. They are organizations that first broke away from the main club, and then they made they sort of over these years they built a fantastic reputation and immaculate. There will be no cheating, no forgery, nothing. Only gentlemen run it. But then today's world, the dog world has gone so much of people are into the dog business, so much of dog farming, so much of things. How do you do it? You got to bring them all under one roof. Because if you say we don't want them, but then what do? You don't educate them also. Unless you take everybody into your fold and try to educate them that this is how you should breed. You're breeding all right, you're spending all right. Just do it the right way. Breed the right dogs. And don't mass produce, because every time you breed dogs, you are definitely going to breed more bad dogs than good dogs. This is the rule all across the world. When I have bred, I've slept with litters have grown up, I observed every puppy. I would, one or two pups would be stunning because I always made it, very complimenting the skeletal structure and everything was taken into account. I was so precise when I really compensated. If the female had certain faults, I would take a male which was much stronger in those areas, maybe weaker in places where the female was very strong. This is the basic thinking you can do without knowing too much of genetics. This is the first thing one should do. You should trust your eye. You should know your breed. You should know the stat. People say, I have been doing a good job and I have judged well and I can pick up the right dogs. I've been doing this from my childhood. And some even say that I have been much ahead of my time. Well, I'm so happy that people. But then, if I really know a little bit, and if I can bequeath that to the new generation, I would be most happy. I would say that you have to stand up against this corruption, and you have to end it. Thousands and thousands of rupees are being taken for fake papers. That's been marketed through agents. The dog shows are minting money. The secretaries are becoming rich. What is happening? How do you take it? What is the papers now have no value because they know 2,000 rupees. Nobody registered. Now please come forward. We need one complete dog world, not a fragmented dog world. That is the idea. I have had the fantastic ride. I wouldn't say the best because, there are people who must have done much more or enjoyed much more, but I have no regrets because I do not want to judge in this, where you go in to judge and you place any dog. People will say that I have been bribed by the people I put up. Because that's the rule. Unless you are bribed, dog shows cannot happen. They will close down. So with these words and with the words of caution, don't support the syndicate. And now they say that the club has been handed over to a lady. Of course he has many mistresses. I don't know who. But whatever. If that is so, that's good. That's a very sad thing. I am of course involved in nothing of this. I have had my time and I am happy. I want to help everybody, every club, whoever approaches me. Thank you and goodbye. Please click on the bell button so that you are intimated for every of my episodes, and of course share and like. And yes, animal lovers, everybody, please, you can come forward and send your excellent, videos of animals that you keep different, maybe dogs, maybe cats, maybe horses, maybe anything. We will, of course, be very proud to put it up in our Animal World, Animals and Pets with Partha. And, thumbs up. Bye-bye. See you again in my coming episode.